Hey everyone, welcome to my gardening channel where you get a glimpse into the inner world of my very productive butterfly garden. Okay, you guys, I have had a new guest to my garden. I know it's not this handsome queen, but we're just looking at him because he's right here and he's just, look at his wings are beautiful. Oh my gosh, he's so handsome. Okay, so I have the host plant for my new guest, and it's the only one I have, and we're gonna pot it up. Look at this big guy. He is enjoying, what is he on? Oh, he's on starry rosinweed. We're gonna get interrupted by butterflies like 5 or 6 times before we get to the plant that I want to show you. But that's okay. That's what's fabulous about a butterfly garden, right? This is a Gulf fritillary on pink pentas. I'm thinking of using this pot right here because it's got one of these built-in water holders, and this particular plant likes a wetland setting. So there are residents in this pot right now, but they can be moved. This one is one of the sombrero coneflowers from Romance Gardens. And then there's a beautiful white zinnia, which can easily be moved, both of them. Because the plant that needs to go in here is the golden canna. Now look at how big my plant is. That's the extent of this plant that I have. But it is the host plant to the Brazilian skipper, and I'll put in a photo. The Brazilian skipper is a beautiful little butterfly. Now, could it be coming to my garden because of this? I mean, is that enough to send out whatever signal it sends to say, I'm here? I don't know, but this little baby is going to get spoiled rotten and put right over here in this beautiful pot that's going to be right before my eyes, so I can take super good care of it, and hopefully we'll see more Brazilian skippers in my garden. But first, we have to move its current residence. And I happen to have space right here. Like, it's in the main area of my potted flower garden. This died. What was this? That. Note to self, don't buy any more of that. And that was some zinnias that clearly didn't thrive. So I actually could put both of those right in there. That zinnia might be too tall to go in there. It'll stick up. I might move the zinnia over where I put the giant California zinnias. I said that backwards. The California giant zinnias right behind me. And then I'll put the coneflower in here. All right, there we go. A little sombrero coneflower. Oh my gosh, and that spot needed something there. Perfect. And little white zinnias right over here with the other zinnias. So now let me just make a little space for my canna. Somebody tell me what it is. Is it a short A, canna, or a long A, canna? Tell me in the comments, long A or short A. All right, here's my beautiful plant. I'm going to transfer it into its new home. I'm walking up to make a little sign for my golden canna, and anyway, this beauty was right here. So of course, you know, we had to stop, say hello, giant swallowtail. Beautiful on the red pentas. Little Gulf fritillary. Couldn't you just sit and watch them all day? Okay, I'm gonna go make my sign. I'm going. Okay, I've got my sign. Next project on my list. Remember the rue, the potted rue that's back in the back of my garden that I moved over so the caterpillars could climb on it? Well, I'm gonna take it and the remnants of any plants that are surviving back there and put them in some of those empty containers up front by my garden room, the raised beds. Look who's here, little spice bush swallowtail. His little tail's a little ragged. What will be cool about moving these up front is I'll be able to keep my eyes on these little guys. I only see two right now. If there's only two, I'll take them in. I might just take the two in because that tells us some disappeared overnight. Let me see if everybody, I'm gonna move it away and then we'll see if everybody climbed onto the roof or if there's still anybody left on the parsley. Do you see anybody? I don't see anybody. I think they're all on the roof. But this parsley plant's gonna get moved up and I'm gonna dig out any, oh, look at this poor little guy. I'm gonna dig up any surviving bronze fennel like this one. It's gonna go up there too. So we'll be back for him. No worries, little guy. I'm gonna put these in the first planter right outside the door by my cactus collection. And here's the final look. Now that we've gotten those adorable little eastern black swallowtail caterpillars settled into their new home and all taken care of, I have a few things to show you. I have been working in my garden and I cleaned up some areas that needed cleaned up and I just want to show them to you. First one is my little secret walkway. Remember, I was back here not too many videos ago, and this was all covered in weeds. And so I trimmed up my Bahama Senna. Look at my pentas are all growing in so beautifully. And the whole walkway is open back to my wild lime. And then I have my sweet little papaya tree that gives the most beautiful flowers. But not only that, it smells so good. The other part of my garden that I've cleaned up significantly is outside the door of my garden room. When you look out this way, which we don't go down here often, but there's a red trash can to remind you to tap the like button. This used to have like a whole bunch of pots just sitting everywhere. Some had plants in them, some were empty. The porterweed right there was leaning way out because the privet senna right behind it was leaning into it. So I've got them all standing upright again so you can actually look out and see. I still have a lot to do because I want all of this rock gone. We're slowly shoveling it up and putting it in as a bottom layer in the raised bed planter that has been sitting there for quite some time. It actually has plants growing up in it, which I can't even with that right now. We're just not going to talk about that. But look what I've done over here. This was that old shelf I showed you several videos ago also. And we got rid of it. I staked up. There's this gorgeous goldenrod. It's a Chapman's goldenrod, I believe. And it was sprawled. You see how many strands there are to it? There's some back in there. It was sprawled on the ground, like all over in every direction. So I found all the pieces and gathered them up and used, I love this Velcro tape stuff. And now they're all together and they're all supported. And when that blooms, that's going to be beautiful back in here. And then you can see I took a concrete block and the privet senna is now leaning on it because that one branch from the wind from the storm, it like blew it over. And so now it's going to grow back upright, which then took the pressure off of this porterweed that was also shoved out. And now it's upright, and it was just like a little domino effect. And then right here is another Chapman's goldenrod. And it was all over the place too. So I did the same. I strapped it up with the Velcro tape. And then I put another concrete block in front of it to keep it upright. And all these pots were all over my garden. Like they were just randomly sitting all over my garden. Look how many of them there are. Except that's my Christmas cactus. That was in that pot. But all these other pots were empty. And so I planted a couple more little teeny tiny woolly Dutchman's pipe vines and those. And it's sitting in that pretty glass bowl that I got at a thrift store. I had some round leaf thoroughworts that were just in little pots. And so I put all three of them here together. And it's sitting in one of the plates that I got at the thrift store. Here is another woolly Dutchman's pipe vine. Can you see how much of this stuff I have? But look how little all of it is. And yes, I still need more. And yes, I'm still checking Joyful Butterfly. And then all of these pots I filled with soil, and there are zinnia seeds in all of them. Now this is a great spot in my garden to start seeds because it gets excellent morning sunlight, but then in the afternoon heat, it gets more in shade. And so I'm gonna get these started here, and then as they grow, I can move them out into my flower garden. Those ones have seeds in them too. I'll come back here and then we can look out that way. It just looks so much better. There's little Ray. Ray, we see you. And now it's the moment you've been waiting for. It's time to bring out the irresistible and most adorable caterpillars. Look, he's giving his osmenterium just for you. These are the ever adorable and super popular in my garden Polydamas swallowtail caterpillars. And you can see how different they look, and that's common to see variety in their coloring. The one that's got his little osmenterium stuck out, that's the one I brought in that I showed when I went back out. After I'd taken one in, I went back out and there was another one. The first one I brought in is already preparing to pupate. And this guy's been in here since it was a baby. And then this one, I imagine, will be going to pupate any minute now. Let's look at the feet. Hey there. There you go. You're happier now. He says, just don't take me away from my food. This doesn't look like a lot of food, but I do have a whole another floral tube in there that has some whatever fresh cuttings I could scrape up. And let me tell you, these two need to pupate, and then my Woolly Dutchman's pipe vine needs to grow. Then we have these adorable Eastern Black Swallowtail caterpillars. These aren't the ones from the plants that I moved. These are ones that I've had in the enclosure as eggs, from eggs, since they were tiny babies. So look at me sticking to my 3 or 4. I have 2 polydamas and 3 Eastern Black Swallowtails. And then we have the very cool, the very calm and collected giant swallowtail caterpillars, just lazing away their day, hanging out on their wild lime stem cuttings. Don't seem to have a care in the world. They're not eating as if they fear their food source is going to disappear suddenly. Nope. And when I was cleaning that back walkway where my wild lime are, I did find 1 new baby and some eggs. So they're on in a different floral tube. Look at how pretty he is. Oh my goodness. Oh, and look, I want to show you what I made. It's a little dowel, and it's a little dowel that holds chrysalides. 1, 2, 3. So I have these guys stuck in a pot, my only potted plant in the lepidarium. We'll talk about why I have a potted plant in there in just a moment. This is a little spice bush plant that is in a pot. I have been having the hardest time getting my spice bush cuttings to stay fresh and healthy. And behaviorally, the little spice bush caterpillars, look, he's green. Isn't he adorable? So they like to stay in here during the day, and then they climb out and go to another part of the tree or plant or shrub, because they also host on the sassafras tree, and eat, and then they come back to their little folded leaf home. So you've got to have a lot of leaves for them to then leave their little home and then go munch somewhere else and then come back. And my leaves just kept drying out. I don't know what was going on. The sassafras does better, but these guys were on spice bushing. You know how few of these I've had. I wasn't taking any chances trying to switch them to a different flavor host plant. So I just thought, I'm just going to bring this whole, look, it's a big old pot, this whole potted plant in. And then there's another one up here. I have 2. There's the other guy. He's a little bit younger, so he's not green yet. He's still that kind of army green, but he's cute. So those are my 2 spice bush swallowtail caterpillars on their host plant, the spice bush, which now I'm thinking I want to get some more little spice bush plants from Joyful Butterfly too, to keep in pots for this very reason, because this is my only small one. And of course they're out of that too, so I'm gonna have to be checking daily. Now I have to say, I'm really actually enjoying being firm in my resolve to only raise a few caterpillars of each species. It took me a while to trust my garden. I'm actually seeing it in action. I'm seeing butterflies that I know I did not raise and release, and they're still in my garden. Your butterfly garden will do the work. Just enjoy raising a few, but let your garden do the work. Speaking of letting my garden do the work, look at this little guy right here on the swamp milkweed. Gorgeous male. I mean, look at the wings. This one looks new too. I was just saying how my garden is doing the work. Y'all know I did not raise that guy. There he goes. Well, as usual, I hope you really enjoyed this video, and please take a moment and tap the like button, and I will see you in my next video. If you have any questions for me about anything or anything in my garden you'd like to know more about or see, let me know. Just let me know in the comments, and I'll see you all later. Bye-bye.